Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Hey everyone, and thanks for listening to the GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. I'm Mariano.
And I'm Pauline.
And we are #Poliano. Now, we wanted to talk about why you may not be seeing the results you want, whether it be, for lifting or cutting weight or maintaining, or even really just healthy living. We were talking recently about sleep and why a lot of people may not be sleeping right and what that does, because I don't think people really realize,
the effect that sleep has.
Yeah, you brought it up.
Lack of sleep.
Exactly. You brought up a great point that I always forget. It's always in my head, like I know this information, but I always forget to bring it up. Mm-hmm. And it was the mood.
Yeah.
You're right.
It does affect your mood.
And it sucks because the mood affects everything else. Like
yeah.
your workout or your your feeding schedule and
right.
Or even just kind of the pushability. Like, remember when I said when you need to drink more water, just consciously give yourself like 6 extra gulps. Mm-hmm. If you're frustrated, you don't feel like it.
Yeah.
So it throws off other things. But what kind of brought up the inspiration for this was, the guy that I was telling you about that I see in the gym kind of aimlessly wanders around, and he lifts like random things and hits random muscle groups in a weird order, and he doesn't look any bigger. And I've seen him for a while. And I just wonder sometimes, like, does he wonder, why am I not seeing results?
Yeah.
And so we wanted to get into why anyone may not be seeing results. I had that problem too when I was younger, but I didn't really know how to work out efficiently, so I'd take forever. Mm-hmm. And do you believe in overtraining? Do you think there's such a thing?
Yeah.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I consider it not so much overtraining. I consider it undernourishing. Okay. Like, so if you lift at a crazy, crazy high pace, mm-hmm. if you can keep up with the meals and the sleep, I don't think there is overtraining. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But if you're not, then sure. Like if I could just be paid to lift, that'd be awesome. And I can like go to the gym, eat, then sleep, and
go to the gym.
Yeah. Then I'd go back 2 times a day if I could sleep all day. But under circumstances, that's not realistic. Mm-hmm. So I think overtraining is only possible if you're not eating and sleeping enough. But I don't think he overtrains because he doesn't lift that like hard.
Yeah.
So, and he's not there that long either. Mm-hmm. Unless he goes back later, which I kind of doubt.
Probably gets discouraged and just is done.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Because that's the kid I was talking about that I asked him if he wanted to jump into our like upper back workout, and he did. Mm-hmm. But I didn't say anything to him this time. I was kind of hoping he would like come talk to me and and kind of not man up, because that sounds harsh, but but take initiative. How about that? So I was like, all right, I'll let him do his own thing, and if not, then not. But yeah, when I didn't see results, I noticed. I'll put it this way: when I did start seeing results, it's because I started eating right.
Yeah,
I've always had sleeping problems, including now. I'm for some weird I cannot sleep normally. I never was really good at it. Mm-hmm. Like the only time I really get restful sleep is when I'm dead tired. Like if I take a trip, that weekend that I went from here straight to LA then home, when I got home that day, I finally slept a ton. But on average, I don't sleep as much as I should, especially considering I work out. But I don't know how. I've tried sleeping pills and different things, and they make me like groggy and I feel drugged, but I don't sleep. Mm-hmm. It's weird. Maybe I need a new bed, but my bed is not old. I bought it like last year, and it's a nice bed. I mean, it's not like a super fancy like memory foam bed,
right?
But it is comfortable.
Yeah, beds do kind of like affect.
But this
how well you sleep.
This is a comfy bed. I like my bed. Mm-hmm. So it's not that. It's not really that I'm hot, because the AC. Mm-hmm. I do sleep better in the winters, but I don't think that's what it is in particular. I don't know. That's
is there a lot on your mind?
There always is, but like not any one thing. I always have. I call them mental chew toys. Mm-hmm. I'm always thinking of like 4 or 5 different things at a time, just because it's fun for me. But I don't know.
Well, lately I've been having. Well, for me lately, I've been sleeping just like when I go to lay down to go to sleep, I've been falling asleep faster just because I've been doing a lot more than I think normally that I do, because every day I work and stuff like that. And so I don't know, my body's just like more tired. And I do think, though, on the flip side, it has a lot to do with my feet and like my because I know we talk about this, like we touch on it a little bit every episode, but I had foot surgery on both my feet going on a year now. In August will be a year. And so I just recently started walking again the end of April. And so that did take kind of like, I know that my body gets more tired just because my feet are tired. And so, and because there's some days like my feet don't hurt because like they're healed and everything, but they do feel like tired. And I remember my doctor was telling me, you know, your feet shouldn't hurt. And if they do, like, definitely contact him.
Right.
But then he was saying, but you will notice that you're going to, like, your feet are going to be tired. And I thought that was kind of, like, weird.
Well, your muscles have been, like, almost in atrophy for, like, a year. Where, you know.
And so I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. Like, I don't know what it feels like to just have tired feet. But then, like, they are not sore or anything. They really are just tired. Like, there's times where I just want to, like, lift my feet up.
Well, because feet is more tendons than anything, right?
Yeah, and, like, and just because, like, you're standing all day, so, like, all your weight's always on them. You know, like, when I had my shoulder surgery, I just wouldn't use that arm at all and things like that. But, like, when, like, you drive, you know, you, like, just, like, even when you're sitting like at your desk, like when because your feet are on the ground, so like that's pressure that's just constantly on them. So my feet do get tired. So I believe that that's one reason why I'm able to fall asleep so fast, is just because my body physically is like, okay, go to sleep, because that's the only way that I can rest my feet. And so that is what I've noticed for myself just like lately, that has been causing me to fall asleep so fast, is because like there's times when I'm like, okay, I need to like finish up some things, but my body is just so tired that I'm like, I have to go to sleep.
But you know, I have a problem with that. When I leave the gym, I'm tired and I'll lay down. Like I'll leave the gym feeling like, okay, I'm going to knock out. And I'll lay in my bed, but I don't go to sleep, you know? And it's not because I don't want to. I'll just lay there. Like, I know you're tired, just knock out. But I'm awake and I'm like, I don't know what's going on, you know? But yeah, there could be sleep, could be malnutrition, or maybe you're just not training right, or maybe it's some kind of combination of the three, you know? And there's other things too. There's so many components when thinking of kind of building up or shrinking down your body, like stress levels, because that changes your insulin and, you know, your stress hormone levels. They can adjust, you know, like muscle growth. One thing I wanted to bring up really quick in terms of that was, we were talking about the keto diet. There was this study done that carbs don't at all hinder, like lack of carbs doesn't stop muscle growth. So it is actually possible to build muscle and burn fat at the exact same time. And in fact, they did a study where they took three groups of people, and they gave one group a daily dose of 100 grams of rice, another group like 50, and another group like 30. And then they had them all do the same strength training / resistance training regimen for like 8 weeks. All of them gained the same amount of muscle. The 30 grams of rice lost the most fat. 50, not as much, but some. And then 100 grams, I don't think lost any. And then I forget how they studied, but like they stopped or something, or they started with cardio. And the interesting thing is the 100 grams of rice person actually lost the most muscle at the end of that. And the 30 grams of rice people retain the most muscle, you know? So when you're in ketosis, you save muscle. Because, you know, you're burning fat, so your body doesn't break down the you know, to get the sugars inside the muscle, like the glycogen.
That makes sense.
I thought that was interesting. I just wanted to throw that in there. But yeah, when you're lifting, there's all these different little things, and I wonder what the biggest, like, what do you think the most common thing is? Do you think people aren't training right? Do you think people aren't eating right? Like,
I think it has to do with food. I really do, because I think that, because sometimes what happens is when you're like working out a lot, or like lifting or doing a lot of cardio, whatever it is that you're doing to work out, you're hungry afterwards. And so there's times when some people will say, oh, well, I just went to the gym this morning, so it's fine. I can go eat this today, and I can have that today.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Or I'm gonna go to the gym tomorrow, so I'll have this piece of cake tonight. And it's like, okay, like I get it, but then that defeats the purpose, and so you have to be like really consistent.
You know what I noticed though? If you ever like work out really hard or you do something and you know your body needs food, but like since you're in workout mode and your muscles are tense, you can't physically really get much down. Have you ever had that problem?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So,
because when I used to row, I used to be like that. After like
for me it was after swim,
regattas and things. I would like be hungry, but I couldn't.
Right, like, your body doesn't want to eat. It's not in like eat mode right now. Well, after swim, when I was on the swim team, it was hard for me to get food in. Like it wouldn't go down my throat. You know what I mean? So I think a shake would be a good maybe not alternative because you still need to eat, but how do I put this? Like, okay, I leave the gym, I'm home. It's been like 10 minutes since I was done with my workout. I can't get anything down. I could probably squeeze a shake down. That should hold me over for at least the next 20 minutes, which equals 30 minutes later. Then I might be able to get some food down. You know what I mean? There are some other points that I want to get into. Let us just take this quick commercial break.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And we are back. Thanks for listening, guys, to the GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. I'm Mariano.
And I'm Pauline.
And we were just talking about some side effects of, lack of sleep, especially when you're training, but even, when you're not and you're just doing things on a day-to-day basis and it affects you. And one question I had for Pauline, because she graduated from college not too long ago.
Just a year ago.
That's not bad.
I'm a baby.
And she's got more experience with low-carb diets than I do. And I've heard that when you do low-carb, not only are you, way less energized, but your brain function kind of takes a little bit of a hit too.
Yeah, I have heard that too. I didn't really notice too much with like me, but I also I did it during like the summertime, so I wasn't like really doing too much anyways, as far as like I wasn't like in school or anything like that. But because by the time I started school up again, I was transitioning and
back
like
into
adding like a little bit of carbs and stuff like that. So I didn't notice too much of a difference, but I do know that people have like said that they like lose focus and things like that. But then it could also just be a lack of certain vitamins that you're missing out on, that you're not getting supplemented.
Or even the placebo effect, I heard, I'm not sure how true this is, but I heard that on keto, you start off feeling terrible, but then once you start feeling better, your brain will actually function even better under ketones than under carbs.
Yeah.
So like overall, you'll be even,
It's just like a really tough transitional stage.
Yeah.
But once you get through it and
one question I have too is I wonder if it ever becomes unhealthy. Like if you stay in ketosis and your body's burning fat, like will it just kind of find a happy medium somewhere, or will you just keep losing fat until you get to like a dangerously low level?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I want to look into that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But as far as lifting and training, lifting and eating anyway.
Right.
I noticed I saw the biggest and quickest gains when I started eating more. I started eating more carbs, which has made me pack on a little bit of fat, and I mean a little bit of fat. Like I'm being hypercritical, I know, but the thing is, it's kind of a necessary evil. Not because I want the fat. Like I don't really believe what people say that, well, fat converts to muscle. I don't care about that. The reason I started eating more rice was because of the extra energy, so I can lift harder. I still eat a lot more chicken and rice. Chicken and turkey and different types of protein so that I can build that muscle.
Right.
But it's not like I want to build fat just to convert it. I'd rather just build lean muscle. So it's easier for me, especially mentally, when I'm lifting heavy weight, because it keeps me motivated. Like, wow, look how strong I'm getting, and it makes me want to push harder. So when I cut carbs, the few days that I did, I really felt weaker, and I was like, whoa, and this took a toll on me mentally, and I didn't want to lift that hard. But I've noticed guys that kind of walk around aimlessly. They almost look like they're not like they're just zoned out. They're not like in workout mode. They just kind of walk around, yawn, and
yeah.
And they do this, and then they sit for 5 minutes on their phone and text, and then they go do this, and same thing. And maybe a lot of it's just lack of direction, so that kind of falls into like not training right. Mm-hmm. But I wonder if nutrition has something to do with it, because when I went to work out yesterday,
tiring out.
Exactly, burning out. Mm-hmm. When I went yesterday, that was a weak workout that I had. Mm-hmm. I kind of try to make it work, because what I lacked in like weight, I made up for with just extra reps and extra like tension under every rep. So I'd really make sure to flex my lower back, even though that weight's not really heavy for me. At least it's not normally. It's this weird kind of thing where like it feels heavy, but not that heavy at the same time. It's hard to describe. My forearms could barely even hold 135, but my back like struggled to get up, but not really. I don't know really how to describe it, but so I would make sure to really flex my lower back as hard as I could to try to get some kind of workout out of it. And then I went to a back extension machine and did the same thing. So I guess I did pretty okay, but I noticed my workout, was not terrible, but it was
not what your normal is.
And it wasn't even good. Like it wasn't even okay, really. It was subpar for sure. But it's interesting because a lot of people don't eat right, and a lot of people. You brought up the good point earlier that they do that thing where like, oh well, I worked out, or I mean they'll be like, okay, well I'm going to work out today so I can eat whatever I want.
Yeah.
Not understanding that not only does that affect the gains, but it also affects the workout itself. Mm-hmm. So it throws you off there. Sleep throws off your diet too, which is weird, but it's true. And it throws off kind of your mood. And if your mood's not there, you don't feel like pushing yourself, then you're not going to.
It's easy to get discouraged or like just lose like your motivation and just like not care. And
exactly.
Just like, well, it's only once, or it doesn't really matter today because I'm going to do this later. But it really does.
Right. It's not even that, but like I wanted to be focused, I did a set and then I put the weight down and I'm like, man, like wake up. And I just couldn't, And to be fair, I worked overnight. Like I started working different shifts. I'm doing overnights now. Mm-hmm. But I still slept. So maybe that had something to do with it. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I felt weaker.
Yeah, it could be like the sleep because you're changing your sleep pattern.
Yeah.
So.
And it sucks because I don't do overnight every night, so like my sleep patterns are all weird right now.
Yeah. I'm having that problem right now. I'm trying to find a really good happy medium with my sleep pattern because like I did say that like as soon as I lay down, I do fall asleep. Mm-hmm. But there's times that I don't get home till almost like 11, and then there's times when I get home at 8. So I'm trying to, especially on days when I get home really late, trying to go to sleep right away, like quickly taking a shower and then going to sleep, because there's days like when I get home at 8 that I'm able to go to sleep like 9:30, 10 because I wake up so early the next day. So I'm trying to find like a good sleeping pattern with all of that, even like because even I work even on the weekends too, so I still have to make sure I have a good sleeping pattern and things like that. And I did go to like a concert this week, so like that kind of like threw off everything because the concert of course didn't end till late,
right,
and things like that. So it does kind of like affect everything else, like lacking sleep and messing up, like not messing up your sleep pattern but just changing it, because your body does get into kind of like a routine and gets thrown off. I'm
trying to find a really good sleep aid because I have the hardest time. And I've tried different like melatonins and different like sleeping pills, and my problem is the ones that somewhat do work leave me groggy in the morning.
Have you thought about stretching?
I haven't. See, it's that thing where like I haven't thought about stretching to try to go to sleep, but I tend to stretch at night just to stretch. Like, whatever I worked out that day, I stretch just out of habit because it feels good. Mm-hmm.
'Cause, like, if you stretch and just, like, so that you can just give your time
wind down
to, like, just, like, wind down and just not, like, because I had my brother doing this, and not listening to music or anything, just literally just stretching for, like, 10, 15 minutes, just even if you're just, like, sitting down with your legs out in front of you and, like, just reaching over, you know, and just stretching, touching your toes and just, like, relaxing that way. Or doing certain, like yoga poses, like downward dog and, like, you know, stretching, things like that just to, like, relax and just not even thinking about anything. And because my brother was kind of having that problem.
Downward dog. My dogs would be all in my face.
Like yeah. So it's stuff like that, because I was telling my brother, I was like, dude, like, it'll help you kind of, like, relax and, like, stretch, which is good. You can never do, like, you know, you can always stretch at the end of the day. So,
you know, my uncle does that. I don't know. I need to try that. But I've seen
or just
him...
like sitting, like, sometimes, like, this is kind of funny, but, like, there's times, like, when I'll sit like just, like, cross my legs sitting down on the floor and just, like, sit and just, like, kind of just not,
like in kindergarten, just
think, and just not really do anything and just, like, okay, because there's not much, well, for me during my day, there's not much time where I'm just sitting or just not, like, if I'm sitting, it's because I'm in the car driving somewhere, and you can't, like, you still have to be alert when you're driving. When you're at work, you're still alert. There's never really a time where you're just, like, sitting there and not really doing anything. And sometimes I'll just, like, sit there and just, like, okay, today was a long day, and then kind of like, okay, so
I kind of try that. There's this, you know, mindfulness book that I bought and I listened to. And it actually, that one does help. There at the end of because it describes mindfulness, like, practices, and then the last, like, 4 hours of the book are, like, 30-minute segments each of practices themselves, where the guy just kind of guides you through it.
Oh yeah.
And now that I think about it, I do tend to fall asleep with those, so I might actually do that on the train today. Like,
yeah,
but the train is uncomfortable, so it's hard to sleep there.
Yeah, that's true.
But
yeah.
But when I get home, those things do tend to knock me out. I'm gonna try that.
And then, because, like, I used to take bar classes. I used to work at a bar studio, and at the end of each class, you just kind of, like, lay down, like, on your like, stomach, and you have your hands and arms just, like, straight down next to you at your sides, and you just, like, lay there and you just, like, breathe. And you only do it, like, we do it for, like, the last minute of the bar class, and, like, you start to fall asleep, because you just, like, relax and you just don't think about anything, and, like, they just have, like,
just picturing that sounds like it could work.
Yeah, and you just, like, you don't tense any muscles, like, you just lay there. And at first it's kind of, like, weird. Like, in the beginning I was like, because my boss, she was like, some people, like, fall asleep even in those, like, 45 seconds, and I'm like, okay, there's no way. But you do, because you just, like, relax, like, a full body, like, relax and just think, like, oh, this is kind of nice, and just go sleep.
I want to try that.
Yeah, try it.
Yeah, I'll try that. We need to take one more quick commercial break, and we will be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And we are back. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to the GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. I'm Mariano.
And I'm Pauline.
And we are hashtag what?
Pauliano.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So this whole episode, we've been discussing reasons why you may not be seeing results that you want, even though you're trying very hard and you are doing the best that you can. There's just sometimes when you're not seeing results, and it could be due to a variety of reasons. So far, we've talked about, like, lack of sleep and just what you're eating or not eating and how that can affect your results. But another reason that could definitely affect why you're not seeing results, whether you're trying to lose weight, whether you're trying to gain and tone up, if you're trying to maintain your weight, it could be because you're not lifting right for what you're trying to accomplish. And that one is kind of...
it's a broad statement.
Right.
Yeah.
It is very broad, and it could be because you may just be like a beginner and you're not quite sure. And it could be that you don't like what you're doing isn't necessarily
effective.
Yeah, effective. Or it could be even if you're somebody who has been lifting or working out, it could just be the same thing. It could be what you're doing is not effective, or it could be you're not being consistent.
You know what's one that I've noticed is people, like someone who either is new to lifting altogether or hasn't done it in a long time.
Right.
They'll work up to a certain amount of weight, and then they're mentally comfortable with that weight, so they stop pushing past it.
Oh, yeah.
And then they stop seeing results. You know?
Kind of like plateau.
Yeah. But they, like, everyone, do you notice for some reason amongst guys, everything is like 2 plates?
Yeah.
Like 225, 245-pound plates is... For some weird reason, like once you get to that, you just stop. Like for them mentally, they're like, oh yeah, well it's 2 plates. I mean, why would I? You know?
Right.
So I noticed like once guys can squat that, they kind of stay there. Once they can bench press that, they kind of stay there. But then you don't get any bigger, like, 3 years later, and you're like, what's going on? And it's like, well, I mean, now that I can bench press 2 plates 15 times, maybe I should up the weight. But I've noticed that mental thing where like, whoa, I'm strong, I'm going to stay right here.
Yeah.
But if you want to keep growing, you have to keep pushing, because the point is to push your body past what it can do, not to what it can do. Or guys just aren't being efficient enough. I've noticed, like I was talking about the guy that I see, he'll go, curl, do some arms, and then do some back, and then do some abs, and do, and if you do all those things, like I always tell people, I can do, like if I do let's say, I was going to say 1,000, let's say I do 200 push-ups. If I try to do 200 right now, my chest is going to be burning.
Right.
But if I do 200 throughout the day, like if I do, let's say 20 at a time for however many times, but like throughout the day, it's not even going to be that hard.
Right.
It's all about working effectively, And what I meant by that was, I'll put it this way. If I do on average 7 sets on chest day, and I do like 7 workouts, that's 49 sets in total, my chest will be really hurting by like the 30th set even. And actually that's a huge amount.
Right.
That's a really big exaggeration now I think about it. Let's say like 35 sets.
Okay.
On average.
Got it.
And that's a huge amount. But now if I do like this guy and I bounce around from chest to arms to whatever, so if I still do 35 sets of chest in a week, because I do chest day once a week, but I do like 4 or 5 sets a day, my chest won't really be hurting.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I don't push it to that point.
You got to feel the burn.
Exactly. And that's what I mean by you can be ineffective even under the same amount, which is weird.
Yeah.
No,
it
the interval training,
sense.
you can jog 2 miles, or you can sprint 30 seconds at a time and probably end up doing like a mile and get the harder workout. So if you're not being effective with your workouts, then you're most likely not going to see the results, at least not the results that you want as fast as you want. And also being realistic. Like a lot of guys are like, hey, I've been lifting for like 4 days. Why aren't I huge yet?
Yeah.
It happens.
No, I'm one of those. I go to the gym like twice in a row, and I'm like, why am I not Beyonce? Like, I don't get it.
But Beyonce's not even like a fit chick. What do you mean?
No, like why?
She's not like out of shape, but
why am I just not Beyonce? Like, I should just 2 days in the gym.
You just become
dye my hair. I should be Beyonce.
You just fuse with Beyonce like Dragon Ball Z style.
But then we fail to realize that she's always consistently working out.
Yeah.
Her workout regimen to be able, like, just a performance alone I would not be able to complete that. And she's...
Well, you could. It just takes time to get to
right.
that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, she literally has
Yeah.
been building up her stamina and everything else.
Because Terry Crews, everybody loves Terry Crews, right? He did this interview that I loved because he was talking about, someone asked him, give me your 3 best workout tips. And he said, number 1, you have to love what you do. If you love what you do, then you work out the right way.
Right.
And then the gains start coming. And it was like, number 2 is it all takes time. Everybody's trying to get everything done so quick. And he was like, I started working out when I was 14.
Yeah.
At that time of the interview, he was 44. And he's huge. He was like, I've been doing this for 30 years. It takes time,
Right.
When I watch these huge bodybuilders like Kai Green, Jay Cutler, Callum Von Moger, they, one of them made the point that it was like, when we get up on stage this year, it's not going to be the product of a year of hard work. It's going to be the product of almost 20 years of hard work.
Right.
You know, you stack up onto that point. And, you know, people sometimes have the wrong idea. So you're training hard, and then like 4 weeks in, you're like, man, what's going on here? And then you kind of drop off, and then you're not training hard anymore. So of course you're not going to see,
and
you
then
know.
it takes longer.
So it becomes that like self-fulfilling prophecy, or you just stop altogether. Or you get frustrated and you train heavy, and then you mess up your joints, and then you have to back off.
Yeah, you have to.
Exactly. So there's all those different things that kind of come into effect, you know? It's hard to deal with sometimes just with all these different things to keep the balance, you know? So if we had how would you sum this up?
Somewhat up why you're not seeing results?
Yeah, like make sure you're sleeping enough.
Sleeping enough.
What would you say, like 6-7 hours? 7 hours, I would say.
Yeah.
If you're lifting, I would say at least 7 hours.
Right. And if you're able, like some people, I know not everybody's able to do this, but like if you can squeeze like a nap in.
Oh yeah,
it's like
definitely.
Like, you know, to energize your body and like rest your body throughout the day.
Yeah, I do that. If I get a chance, it's rare for me, but
right.
If I get the option for a quick like 2-hour nap, I'll do it, and I feel great the rest of that day.
And then eating to like fuel your body.
Yes.
Not just eating because you lifted, or eating because you're going to work out, or eating because you feel like
or
you
eating
should
because
reward
something
yourself.
tastes good. Exactly.
Right. You should be eating for results, and then keeping the goal in mind. Yeah, like being consistent with that.
And lifting the right way. I think keeping the goal in mind will help with the eating and the lifting, because I had to change my whole idea of eating. You know, I would think like, okay, I lifted, now let me go eat like whatever I was hungry for. Now I think of it in terms of, okay, I don't even think of it like eating. I think of like, okay, my body needs protein, this, and this. So I kind of formulate like, okay, so that means I need this kind of meat, this kind of veggies, this kind of, and then I'm like, okay, now my body has what it needs. And the proof is I'm not hungry.
Yeah, you're not hungry.
Yeah, and I'm getting bigger.
Right. You feel sustained.
Exactly. And when you know what it is that you want, like if I can look in the mirror right now and say like I want thicker arms and thicker shoulders, then I know like instead of bouncing around the gym, I need to sit right, you know, with shoulders and with triceps, you know, and kind of decide where to go from there, you know?
Right.
So I think keeping the goal in mind helps in a few different ways.
Having a game plan.
Exactly. And it keeps you motivated, because if you have that game plan, you lift more effectively, you eat more effectively, you see little results here and there, keep you motivated, and then, you know, that little cycle kind of continues.
Right.
The next thing you know, it piles up. Somebody made a good point to me that was like, realistically, in a year, you might be able to gain, like in 1 year, I want to say he said 5 to 10 pounds, which doesn't sound like a lot. 12 months, it's a lot, you know.
Yeah.
10 pounds actually sounds like a lot, you know, to gain in 1 year. But he was like, you know, that may not sound that much, but think about it. In 5 years, you have 50 pounds of muscle on your body. Even if it's like 8 pounds and you have like 32 pounds of muscle on your body, that's a long time, right?
Yeah.
Or that's 40. But, you know, that's a, like, I think of this a lot, and like I'll look at myself in the mirror and like, man, imagine you plus even just 20 pounds more. That's like my ideal. Like if I can get to that, like while lean, still 20 pounds heavier, that's perfect, you know? And it is possible too. Like that doesn't sound unrealistic, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So if you keep the goal in mind, you work on what needs to be worked on. One thing I would recommend for people, look up those guys. They're all over Instagram that, you know, they have like the 8-week program, and let's say it's like $80 and $90, or some are like $50, $60, because you can find like, hey, sign up right now and you get like half off.
Right.
I would sign up and do like an 8-week program, because they do everything from workout to nutrition plan. And then when you're done, just keep it and just keep doing it.
Yep.
You know,
cycle
like,
through it.
Stay on the cycle and just up weight, you know, like systematically. Like let's say I've seen a workout plan where it's like, all right, you're going to lift, you know, like you put in your body weight, and it's like a little spreadsheet that automatically adjusts. Like, okay, so then according to this, you're going to do this much bench press.
Right.
And then the weeks increase on its own. So I would just figure out how much it increases by, like percentage wise, and then just keep that formula. Right.
Keep that formula.
And if the food increases, then keep that formula, and you know, and keep like do it
Adjust
that way.
it to how you need to.
My friend did that, and in fact, there are some websites, and I wish I knew them. I'd say I'm here, but there are some websites that have like free kind of spreadsheets that you can fill out like that. And my friend, he's looking good, so
that's good.
You know, so it works, whatever it is. So just keep that in mind. Keep your sleep schedule. That one is hard for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think sleep is probably
my worst thing.
I think you could like change like your dieting, like what you're consuming and things like that, easier, then you could change like your sleeping.
Yeah, because sleep isn't like a choice. Like you're not like
sleep when you can.
Yeah, you're like, okay, I'm gonna sleep now. It doesn't work that way.
And if you're working late, like depending on like your schedule, depending on like your responsibilities and things, you can always adjust. Like your food and things like that. But sometimes your sleeping pattern, you don't necessarily have control over it as much as you would like.
Right.
Realistically, it's pretty difficult.
Man, there's so many factors that go into this, but I would say if we had to sum this up, like if you sum this up in 2 sentences, what would it be?
It'd be, just sleeping as much as possible.
Right.
Literally as much as possible. And just eating for fuel and being consistent.
In the gym. Thanks for listening, guys. You can find us iTunes, SoundCloud, GSMCpodcast.com.
And Google Play.
What was that other one? Stitcher? Perfect.
And you can always tweet us at GSMC_help.
Yep.
We're there too. And thanks for listening to us this week. And we will see you guys next week with some more stuff for health and wellness.
Sounds good.
Bye.